Everyone, happy Thursday. Welcome to I Do Not Have a Podcast. I do not have a podcast, but if I did, tonight we would talk to Coach Master Coach. Listen, I don't know if, and I'll ask her when she comes on, but I don't even actually know if she is a Master Coach. I haven't given her that title. I have dubbed her Master Coach Cayme Andrea. And we would talk tonight with Master Coach Cayme Andrea about leveling up our lives with Coach Cayme Andrea. So that is what we would talk about tonight. And when she joins in, that's what we would talk about. Now, it has been a day, you all. It's been a day. As you can see, I am dressed up. I am headed to the Mental Health Awards tonight with Mental Health America. If you see me, say hi and take a picture. I love taking pictures. So we are going to have this conversation, a life transforming conversation, and then I'm going to head over to do some mommy business, and then I'm going to head to the awards. Okay. All right. So as I believe that she's logging in, let me just talk a little bit about who this beautiful lady is. I had the pleasure of sitting in on a workshop. There she is. I'm talking about you, Coach Cayme. I had the pleasure of sitting in on a workshop with her in October of last year. It was amazing. So I want to read you her short bio. Okay. It says, Coach Cayme empowers high-earning professionals, women, and successful leaders to achieve personal and professional success using proven systems and methodologies, emphasizing a mind-body connection. She takes an integrative approach to her work. She is credentialed by the International Coaching Federation and the Association of Integrated Psychology and is affiliated with the Harvard Institute of Coaching. I see that I've tried getting on to StreamYard. I haven't actually done that yet. I don't think I have the patience to learn. I need to. There you are.
What's up?
So listen, I cannot see you. I'm talking to a camera of myself.
Shut up.
But I can
Okay.
hear you,
Okay.
and when it saves, it will save with both of us on the screen. I've been doing this a
Loving
couple of
this.
times. Okay,
Loving
all right.
this.
So
Okay.
I was reading your bio, and I told everyone I have dubbed you Master Coach
And
Cayme.
I love that. I love that.
Master Coach
Yes.
Cayme.
Yes.
I sat in on a workshop, like a little quickie, not even like a big workshop,
I
but it
know,
was so
right?
impactful.
Thank you.
It was last
Thank you.
October. It was amazing. I said, I have to get her on.
Thank
And so
you.
I'm so happy that you accepted, because I believe that this is a life transforming conversation that we're going to have. My battery is about to die, so I'm hoping that it
Shut
stays
up.
in there with me.
Okay, come on, come
It's
on,
been
come
a day.
on.
Okay,
We're
okay.
gonna do
All
it.
right, so
We're
listen.
gonna make it work. Let's
I will
go.
post her bio later. Okay, let's get into the conversation.
Let's go. Yes.
All right. So listen, the work that I do is working with individuals who have experienced traumatic, dysfunctional childhood upbringings. What, in your opinion, are the
Hmm.
things that they have to really attack in order to level up their life?
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to change the question.
Yes,
I'm going to change a couple of words that you said, and
yes,
you said they, and I'm going to
yes.
say we because I'm right there in it,
We,
right? You know what I mean? It's
yes,
all of us. There are
yes.
levels of trauma, but come on, we've all
All
gone
of
through,
us.
are going
Yes,
through things that have happened to us, and trying to not let our past dictate our present or our future. Yes, yes.
absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
so
There are levels
your
to it.
there are
Absolutely,
levels to it, right?
absolutely.
So in a nutshell. Ty, do I have your permission on your show to be transparent and direct?
Please. That
Okay.
is, we are founded on transparency over here.
Okay. So I'm
Yes,
going to say, in all of my experience, and that's personal as well as formal training, right? And study, it boils down to two things
yes,
in terms of really how we can move past those things that have tripped us up, whether they happened in our youth or whether they happened yesterday.
yes, yes.
It comes down to two things: how we see ourselves and how we see God, our creator, our
Mm,
divine, the
mm-hmm,
universe, whatever name you want to give that energy, that
mm-hmm,
source, that lightness, right?
mm-hmm.
And it comes down to how we see what we see when we look in the mirror and how we connect and have relationship with that individual that we see when we look in the mirror,
Yes,
and how we see that higher power and how we connect to it. When
Yes. I love that.
you can align those two things, Ty, I, I almost get emotional
Wow.
because so much is possible.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like, I, where you go after that is the how. Okay, right. Like I get it. But then the how. And that's the work. That's the work that I love doing with women.
Yeah.
Particularly, have I worked and done that with men and with individuals who binary, right? Who don't even identify. But yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
The work works. I love doing it with women
Yeah.
because we special.
We
We're
are.
special. Yeah. Yeah.
So connecting with number one, yourself, and
Yes.
then connecting with your higher power, however you name it, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does one
Yeah.
connect with
Yes.
themselves and with higher power, especially if you have experienced childhood dysfunction? Because sometimes the authority figures that we've had in our lives were traumatic experiences,
Yeah.
and we don't have a really great understanding of that kind of role and that relationship.
Right.
So how do you redeem
Yeah.
that?
Okay. So Ty, when I say the word forgiveness, what comes up for you?
That it's a choice. I always listen, and I always say you don't have to forgive, but what does that mean for you, right? So that's what
Mm.
comes up for me is the process of number one, what does forgiveness look like for me? Do I want to forgive? What
Mm-hmm.
does that, because it means different things for different people, right? And so that's what comes up to me is that number one is not, it's a choice. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to forgive, but then where do I place that in my life?
So I completely agree with you. It is a
Mhm,
choice. It's absolutely a
mhm,
choice. And no, you don't, or we don't have to practice this gift of forgiveness. And the
yeah,
gift, let me really be clear, it has nothing to do with the other person or people.
yes,
It is a gift that we give ourselves,
yes.
right? When we practice that
Mhm,
forgiveness. And yes, we do define it in a lot of different ways. But what I teach people is how to see forgiveness as freedom.
yeah.
And when you can embrace that forgiveness is a gift to yourself that opens the door to liberate you from emotional bondage. And
Mm,
I literally walk, there's an exercise that I was blessed to learn through my training
mhm,
that I, in a sacred, loving space, am able to walk people, guide them through this forgiveness exercise. And
mhm.
it's specifically meant for individuals who they don't want to have a conversation with the
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
right?
That's a lot of
Or
us.
it
Yeah,
is, or the person has transitioned, and so you can't really have a conversation with them, right?
yeah, yeah.
And when I tell you the freedom that I have seen my clients have through
Hmm.
just that one exercise. So when we talk about like how do we start loving ourselves or
Hmm.
seeing ourselves as even worthy of love, right?
Hmm.
From ourselves,
Hmm.
it starts there.
Yeah.
It starts with forgiveness. And it's not this, like, the steps aren't linear. So
Hmm.
I work with a lot of, like you said, high achieving, ambitious folks. And Ty, we like to be like, okay, give me the checklist. What do I need to do? Right?
Yeah.
you know? Right. And this work is not like, here, I'm going to give you 10 steps, 10 steps to harmony, peace, love, and freedom.
Hmm.
Like, nah, that's a great TikTok,
Yeah.
but nah, that ain't real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. It can be ugly and messy and all the things, right?
It is ugly and messy and all the things. When I tell you the healing that
Hmm.
comes from the mess though,
Yeah.
right? Like what it looks like on the other side, but you literally, and I don't want to be cliche when I say this, but
Mhm.
the truth is the truth. You got to go through.
Yeah.
You got to go through. That's where
Yeah.
you're built.
Yeah. Would you be open, and you can say no, no pressure, and I know that you know this,
Yeah.
would you be open to allowing our audience to experience that exercise that you just talked about, the forgiveness exercise, since we all are at the place
Hmm.
of this is the first step to leveling up your life,
Yeah.
forgiveness?
Yeah. So what I would be totally open to doing is let's schedule a time to do
Hmm.
that. And we can absolutely do that. And I say that because you want to allow probably about 20 or 30 minutes,
Okay.
right? Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
like good solid
Yeah.
time where they're by themselves, where they can, or if they're not by themselves, they're at a place where they can really
Yeah.
focus and close out all distractions,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's in essence it's a guided kind of meditation. It's a visual
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Good. So make sure you book, and we'll talk before we end about how to book your
Yeah.
session with Coach
Yeah.
Master Coach Family. Okay.
Yes.
So forgiveness of yourself and
Mhm.
others, and
Yep.
I'm going back to the linear
Yeah,
steps,
I know,
right?
right? I love
What
it.
would be the next step after you've forgiven? How do you get to another place in your life?
Okay, so we gotta stop thinking linearly,
Yeah.
right? This
Yeah.
is this is a, I'm working on all of this at the same
Yeah.
time. But here, so if you, for the individual like yourself who wants
Mm-hmm.
the steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's love fiercely
Mm-hmm.
yourself,
Yeah.
forgive quickly
Yeah.
yourself,
Yes.
do no harm to
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and take no shit from yourself.
Don't you have a T-shirt with that
I
saying?
do. I
I,
do.
I want. I still want the T-shirt.
Yes.
I
And so
still
let
want
me
the
break those
T-shirt.
down really quickly though,
Yes.
right? So we got the love yourself fiercely.
Yeah.
But most
Yeah.
people, especially in today's like, oh, self-care, age, right? They're thinking love yourself means it looks like me going to get a massage, me going to, do no, I'm talking about looking in the mirror and for 40 days straight, twice a day, having this intimate conversation with yourself about how much you love
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah.
Like telling yourself some really awesome things that you did
Mm-hmm.
that day that have nothing to do with your physical appearance, right?
So
Like,
good.
yeah, like morning and night, right? Loving yourself in that deep way,
Mm-hmm.
in that way that allows you to put yourself first,
Yeah.
in that
That's good.
way, yeah, in that way that allows you to set boundaries and to make other people uncomfortable, but knowing that you walk away with peace.
Yeah.
Loving
I
yourself
love.
like that,
I love that. I
right?
love that because some of the conversations that I have with individuals I work with and myself, because I consider
Yeah.
myself my first and best client.
Hey,
Um,
yes.
so is that we kind of have to have a foundation in our life of love and acceptance of ourselves, because out of that flows what we expect from other people and what we allow and don't allow in our life. And so I think that's what you're
That
saying,
is
right? Yeah.
exactly what I'm saying, Ty. The capacity, right, that we have in how we love ourselves reflects the capacity that we have to love others, right?
Yes.
And we teach other people how to
Yes.
treat us by how we treat
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes. Would you say that if a person doesn't have the capacity or hasn't yet walked in the capacity of fullness of love for themselves, what challenges might they face with what they accept from other people?
Mm,
Does that make sense? That question makes sense? Because, and I'm asking this specifically for a person that I said will be listening to this.
okay.
Um, this person is allowing things that they say they don't want.
Mm,
However, one of the struggles that they have is that they keep allowing themselves to go back. And I said, well, maybe you haven't actually committed to what you actually want in your life. Maybe
mm,
that's a part of the issue. And maybe a part of your process is actually deciding what you actually desire
mhm,
so that you can then
mhm.
welcome that and get in alignment with that for your life.
Okay, I hear you, right?
Mm-hmm,
I'm
hmm.
gonna, if this person is listening or when this person
Hmm.
listens, I'm gonna speak directly to them and
Yes,
say, I'm gonna show you some
thank you.
grace and I want you to show some grace to yourself right now,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Because, and I'm gonna ask you, Ty, have you ever said, I'm gonna start this health routine,
yes.
right? This wellness routine.
Hmm.
I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. And then something kicks in and you don't do it, right? Like you say you're
Absolutely.
right. And so what happens oftentimes with the individual that you described, and so if you're listening again, what is happening is that on some level you are connecting with this desire, right? And I,
Mm.
I would offer that consciously, you know what it is you should desire, right? You know the
Mhm.
right thing for you. but it's bumping up against, on a subconscious level, this deep rooted belief that you have embraced, this thought that you have embraced, whenever you embraced it,
Mhm.
that goes against, it conflicts what it is that you actually desire. And so there's this internal conflict that happens. So I can't do the thing that I know I desire because subconsciously, right, I'm
Mhm.
still beholden to some thoughts that I said were true about me,
That's
about
so
my
good. Yeah.
worthiness,
Yeah.
about how I show up,
Yeah.
about who will love
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. And so if you're beholden to it, meaning that you believe a particular what you consider as a truth, then you can't move past it because this is your truth and you're walking in it.
Not until you deal with that thought and
Hmm.
you dismantle it, you take the
Absolutely.
power away from it, and you replace it with a thought that serves your highest good.
Goodness gracious. That's what I do every single day with people, like all day long, replace thoughts, identify thoughts
Yes.
and replace thoughts. Which skills are you able to share what skills you use with your clients to replace those thoughts and to dig into them?
Yeah. So you mentioned, I think you mentioned in my bio that I'm a NLP practitioner, which
Mm-hmm.
NLP, for those that are listening, stands for neuro linguistic programming.
Hmm.
And so we have some modalities that we work with that actually, it literally, we speak to the subconscious mind,
Yeah.
right? So it borders along hypnosis a little bit, except you're fully awake, you're completely conscious, but we do some things that talk to the subconscious mind because what we believe, based on the research and the study, is that our brain, it organizes in pictures.
Yes.
And right. And
Yeah.
so when we go to that fundamental thought that we
Hmm.
want to replace, we connect it, we look at what's the picture that comes up for you when you think that
Absolutely.
thing,
Yeah.
and then we literally put a new picture in that
That's
spot.
good. So I'm an EMDR therapist, and
Okay,
and
same
so it's
thing.
very
Yes,
similar. It's very
yes,
similar.
it
And
is.
for those of you that are listening, what we're talking about is if I say the word cat, what comes to your
Mm-hmm.
mind? A
Mm-hmm.
picture of
There's a picture.
a picture of a cat,
Right.
right?
Right.
So our left brain
Yes.
and our right brain they have to be balanced in order for us to
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. And so let me tell you, I was working in doing some NLP with a therapist who also
Yeah.
does EMDR.
Mhm.
And when we were done, she was like, man, y'all got to work hard. EMDR, all you got to do is look at a light.
Or Pat,
Right.
Pat or
Right.
Rock, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
loved
yeah.
it.
It's
I love it. But
amazing.
yeah,
It's amazing
it is.
work. But you're absolutely right. And then, yeah, yeah. I'm not that familiar with NLP work. So
Yeah.
can you kind of describe that a little bit more?
Yeah, so neurolinguistic programming, it's been around for a very long time, right? And it's basically, when you drill it down, it is about liberation. It's about freedom. It's
Mm-hmm,
about understanding the power of your subconscious mind
mm-hmm,
and the ability to be able to create the life you want
hmm.
based on what we call presuppositions. Presuppositions are assumed beliefs, right? And what we believe is that nothing is true unless you give it power. Nothing is
Yes.
true unless you choose to believe that it's the truth.
Mm-hmm,
And so really looking at that, looking at how your subconscious mind works, looking at the life that you desire, that you really like want to create for yourself. And those principles are basically like, if we can look at an individual that is your definition of successful, and look
mm-hmm,
at what they do, how they live their life, what they think about, what they read, what they like, all of those things,
mm-hmm.
science says that if you mimic it, you'll have it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's so good. Kind of like embodying it. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah. That's so good. What do you think that a person that wants to level up their life needs to know in order to kind of move forward in this process?
That's a good question, Ty.
Mm-hmm,
I would say that it's a few things. When you're talking about leveling up your life, I like to quote Newton, right?
mm-hmm.
Newton's law. Um, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Have you heard that before?
Yeah,
It's typically in science, like in science
yeah,
class, you'll hear
yeah.
that. going back to how you see yourself, how you see God, all of these things, right? We're all energy. And so if the law says that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, that means if I set out to level up my life, which is a really positive energy, right? That's one
Mm-hmm.
action. If we're believing the law, what should we expect? An equal and
Something positive to
opposite.
happen. Mm-hmm.
That opposite. Opposite is the key word. So
Mm.
oftentimes what happens is people will make moves to level up their life,
Mm-hmm.
and then shift is what I call it. Shift happens. And stuff starts coming out of nowhere, but it's
Mm.
because for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's
Mm.
part of the process. It's part of the going through. It's part of the leveling up, right? So, what I would say to people who are at the precipice of leveling up, one, expect some resistance.
Mm. So we think that when we hit that resistance, that means stop.
Right.
What you're saying is that when we hit that resistance, number one, we should be expecting it, but
Yes.
that's literally the sign that you're on the right track.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
Because all things are working towards your good. So it's
Yes.
like when you're in the gym and you're like, oh my, like you were trying to push this thing up. That's when your muscles are tearing. That's when you're
Yes.
getting stronger.
Yeah.
That's what's supposed to happen.
That's what's
Right?
supposed to
That's what's
happen. That's
supposed
so good.
to happen. The other thing that I would offer for people that are like wanting to level up is to understand that you can either be in the gap with your thinking or you can be in the game. Right?
What does
Being
that mean?
Yeah, being in the gap is where you're trying to level up, but you're thinking about like all of the things that you did wrong. And this goes back to
Mhm.
the do not
Yeah.
harm of the four rules of engagement that I talked about.
Hmm.
Because you then start harming yourself in the words and in the thoughts. Like you're basically beating yourself up. Being in the game means looking at like, look how far I've come. Look at
Yeah.
what I did today that was awesome. I may not have done all five things. Oh, but I did that one. That's awesome, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit further. Baby steps are still progress.
Yeah. 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 So that's that showing grace to yourself
Yes,
in the journey.
yes,
In the journey, because we do, in my line of work, we have this reward center, right, that releases the chemicals.
yes,
And when we're speaking kindly to ourselves, it releases the chemicals that we
yes,
need to get out of survival.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So being kind to yourself, meeting that resistance. How do you meet the resistance though, other than just
Girl.
being kind to yourself?
So here's the thing, and this is where you get into the messy, ugly
Yeah.
part.
Uh-huh.
Me literally, I had this happen. What's today? Today is I don't know. This was
The first,
earlier.
May 1st,
It was
Thursday,
earlier
May
this
1st.
week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Earlier this week, I got some news opposite of what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So my heart was set on this positive news.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was mine, like this opportunity, right? And had been working for it. And then I got the news that no, it's not yours.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and
Very disappointing. Mhm.
it was so disappointed. Like tears were shed. Like I was knocked off my game a little bit, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So what's important is that you have those tools ready and available to get you back on your game. So for me, what does that look like? For me, that looks like music, particular types of music, right?
Mm-hmm.
That really keep my mind focused on what it is that I know, not how I
That's
feel. There's a
good.
key.
That's
Yep.
so good.
For me, that's reading something positive. It's singing. Like for different people, it's going to be different things. But what it means is you are, this is what I want people to walk away with, Ty.
Mm-hmm.
You are constantly feeding your programming, your subconscious mind. I'm not talking about conscious here. I'm talking about subconscious.
Yeah,
Because when resistance comes, you fall back on that subconscious, right? On that
absolutely.
default programming. So you
Absolutely.
are always programming your mind. You need to be intentional about what you are putting in it because when resistance comes, that's your thing.
That's good.
So if you fall
Mm,
back and you ain't been
so good.
programming it with the right stuff, then yeah, resistance is going to take you out.
That is so good. That is a whole word because listen, I think a lot of times at least with therapy, sometimes people think that therapy is magical and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen automatically just because I signed up for
Right.
it.
Right.
when you have to do work, you have to be doing something that's going to kind of make you practice the skills that you're trying to adopt, even if it is feeding your subconscious or unconscious something that
Yes.
you kind of want to align to.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't always do that, which kind of sometimes make us feel like we're still stuck.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
that's so good. That's so good. What about our attachment to a particular outcome? So you said that you got news this week that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
What about when we feel so attached to a particular outcome that we desire that we then have trouble leveling up or moving forward? Can you speak to that?
I mean, it happens, right? I think part of the work is not being attached to the outcome. Part of the work is finding value in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll use myself as an example and go back to what happened earlier this week. And I was there. I was like, this is not how this was supposed to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, like, all of my stuff was coming up. Remember what I said at the very beginning? The two things, yourself and your
Yeah,
source, right? Yourself and your source.
yeah.
And so in that moment, I had to remind myself, hold up, that's not my source.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that the outcome can still be the outcome. It's just delivered in a different way.
That's so good. Break that down a little bit more. Break that down a little bit more.
Girl, okay. What it means is you have to trust, like for real, the process. Not wear it
Mm-hmm.
on a cute little t-shirt or put it on a card,
Yeah,
right? What it means, and in order to trust the process, this is why I work with people mind, body, and
yeah,
spirit, because there has to be some spiritual alignment with our mental and emotional being, and even with we haven't even talked nutrition, our physical body, right?
mm-hmm.
Because in order to trust the process, that means I need to have faith in something bigger, believing before I can see anything with the natural eye, like knowing, being delusional enough to
Delusional
know, girl, that it's going to
and
happen, right?
having a lot of audacity.
And I read this the other day. A chick I follow, and she's bad. So I'll give her a shout out at Mo the Closer. She was like, I'm delusional and I buy audacity in bulk.
Yes,
Yes, right.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I love
yeah. That
that. I love
that that's what it is. And it doesn't look pretty. It's not something that feels good. So we're not talking about aligning with our feelings,
that. Hmm.
right? But we are talking about aligning with what we choose to believe is the truth until we see that thing in reality.
Yeah. And trusting the
Yeah.
process that is it that what's for me is for me, or what is the belief that we need to ground ourselves in?
That's what I offer. That what's for you
Mhm.
is meant for you.
Yeah,
It's coming to you.
yeah,
It can't but connect to you because
yeah,
it is designed only for you.
yeah.
Nothing can interrupt it except you not believing that.
Mm. Nothing can interrupt it except you not believing that it exists, that it is the
Right.
truth, that is
Right.
the belief that you are
It's
grounded in.
it's no different, Ty, than if I had $100 bill and
Hmm.
I'm like, here, I want to give it to you.
Hmm.
And you like, I don't, dang, I wish I had some money. And I'm like, here, Ty, here's $100 bill. And
Yeah,
you're like, oh man, I checked my account. I wish, do you understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
Versus you like, I see it. I'm locked in. Okay, now I'm going to receive it
Mhm.
because that's what you have to
Re-
do. You
Receive it.
you
Yeah.
have to receive it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that receive, like, so I know we're trying to get me past the linear steps,
Yeah.
but I like the steps because I like practicality. And
Yeah.
sometimes we in our world speak especially like I come from a church background, right?
Oh,
Especially in the
yes.
church, everything is so super
Yes.
spiritual. So you always hear, when I'm talking, you always hear me talk about like practical things.
Right.
And so when we talk about receiving, that
Yes.
to
What does that
me,
look like?
what does that look like
Yeah.
practically?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this practically, this is what that looks like.
Yeah.
Let's go to the example of the $100 bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you were in this space where you were like, I desire more money. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I've looked at stuff and I could use an extra $100,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you closed your eyes in this moment, right, and
Mm-hmm.
you put yourself in a place where you you looked at your account and that extra money was there, what
Mm-hmm.
happens?
That's
Your
good.
body starts changing,
That's so
right?
good. Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
it's like when we know that money's coming, oh, you refunds. A lot of people are getting tax refunds right
Mm-hmm.
now, right? And so they're excited because it hasn't I know, yeah, right. So it hasn't hit the bank yet, but if
Mm-hmm.
they've worked with the tax accountant, they know that the government is sending them X amount of dollars, right? And so their energy shifts, their emotion shift, they're
Mm-hmm.
excited because
Mm-hmm.
that money is coming. Has it hit? Have they seen it? Have they
Mm-hmm.
even spent, right? But that shifts, and it's that energy shift that is part of the receiving.
That's good. That's
That
good.
is
That's
what
good. Yeah.
receiving looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. So one of the practices that I have in order to help myself receive
Yeah.
is sometimes I use my visualization,
Yes.
and I will, like, let's say for instance, I want to receive more love today.
Yeah.
I will visualize what love looks like.
Uh-huh.
So I will visualize myself sitting down and raindrops of love
Uh-huh.
are pouring all on me
Yeah.
and me receiving it and
Oh, that's good.
putting those
Yeah.
raindrops where I need it. For example, if
Yeah.
I need more strength, what does that strength look like?
Yeah.
Would it be in my heart? Would it be in my back pocket? Like, where would it be? Where would I put it if
Right.
I received it? I can
Yes.
envision someone giving me the strength, me
Yeah.
putting it where I need it, and then embodying or bringing to light. I loved how you termed it, but bringing to light those kind of emotional
Yes.
bodily responses that would
Yes.
happen if I received what I am trying to receive. If I already had what I'm trying.
Absolutely.
So for
Yes.
example, if you if you are trying to receive
Yeah.
love, what does love look like? What does love feel like to you?
Right.
Would it be a smile? Would your heart perk up?
Yes.
Like, what would happen? And then you kind of moving in that particular energy. You termed it energy, and I'm
Energy.
going to
Right.
use that word. You called it
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
And
that.
the
I think that is
other
so
thing that I would
powerful.
add to that is as you're visualizing,
Hmm.
right? And those emotions, everything shifts in the way that you said.
Hmm.
Then how does your behavior shift? What would
Yes.
you
Yes.
do, right?
Hmm.
How like literally how would you talk on the telephone to your friend,
Yeah.
or how would you send an email, how would you go about your day, and then
Mhm.
that's how you want to move.
That's so good. That's so good. And in you doing that, what happens unconsciously? You connect with whatever it is that you're
you
trying to, or you actually embody it. You
you
actually embody
do
it, so you connect with it. Yeah,
you do right, like, and
that's
so
so
that
good.
opens you up to saying, like, to acknowledging and believing that
Mhm.
what's for me is for me. Hey, here I am, right? Like,
Yeah.
one of the things, for a long time I was working intentionally on my relationship with money,
Hmm.
right? Because
Hmm.
like you, growing up in the church, right, had to dismantle, well, I had to dismantle a whole bunch of stuff, but but your relationship with money is one of them.
Yeah. Hmm.
And just really getting to the point where I didn't feel guilty
Hmm.
wanting more money.
Yeah.
Didn't feel,
Oh, that's so
like
good.
guilty, or less spiritual, because I want to, because wealth is important to
Yeah.
me. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So one of the steps, can coach,
Yes. Talk to me. What are we
one of
talking
the
about? What steps now?
steps
I'm gonna develop a
is,
checklist for
yeah,
time.
we got to have a checklist now. That's where I am right now. So one of the steps is literally like sitting with yourself and asking yourself, what do you actually desire? And I think a part of that is for people that I work with, and even for my own life previously, is that sometimes you have to expose yourself to other ways of
Mm,
being in order to kind of bring up what you actually want. If I don't know what I don't know,
that
right? And so sometimes
absolutely.
just exposing yourself to other people,
Yeah.
other environments,
Yeah.
other things that you wouldn't typically do, and that can be very uncomfortable for a lot of people as well. But just exposing yourself to other things than what you're familiar with is something that can actually help you to actually say, "Oh, I want that. I want that.
Right. Like,
I
oh,
want it."
that is good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You are spot on. The
Hmm.
other thing is I would offer for people to get in the habit of repeating to themselves, I desire what I deserve and I deserve what I
Yeah.
desire. And then and because for individuals who aren't used to being in that headspace,
Hmm.
right, then it can be really crazy for them to just sit and say, what is it that I want, because they
Yeah.
it's like there's gunk that is disconnecting them from that
Hmm.
answer.
Hmm.
So if you continue to affirm, I deserve what I desire and I desire what I deserve, then it kind of like churns that gunk and starts to open up things, so that you might have something pop up or like, ooh, I want to go to that car show this weekend.
Mm, that's
Like,
right.
where did that come from? I've never been to a car show. Ooh, you know how they do the parade of homes? I
Mhm,
want to go to that, right? Parade of
mhm,
homes and check them out and take some pictures
mhm,
and right, because that is that desire, that heart starting to open up to
mhm.
new things for you.
I love that. I love that. And this is the part where sometimes, I do a lot of exposure therapy as well.
Yeah.
And so with exposure therapy, when you are trying to transition to those new spaces of exposure and you're like, it feels so wrong. It feels like I shouldn't be there,
Yes.
right? Then
Yes.
the exposure part of it is using those skills that you talked about and actually saying to yourself in those moments that it feels wrong and it
Yeah.
feels hard. I
Yeah.
want what I want. I want what I want and I deserve.
I
What did you
desire
say?
what I
I desire.
deserve and I deserve what I desire.
Say
Yeah.
that in the moment
Yeah.
that you are trying to expose yourself to what feels
Yeah.
uncomfortable and
Yeah.
what feels so wrong,
Yeah.
because it's in the exposure that you grow and those kind of muscle memory that you need in order to be familiar and okay
Yeah.
with your own
Yeah.
desires, especially when you're transitioning out of dysfunction.
Yes, and I would say in addition to that too, Ty, inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
Inquiry in that moment
Yeah,
can be so powerful.
yeah.
When that feeling or those emotions of like, no, this is wrong comes
Mhm.
up, ask yourself, where is this coming from? Where
Yeah,
where where did I why do I think that that's
that's
wrong?
good. That's
Right?
good.
Like,
Mhm.
because is that my thought or is that
Mhm.
somebody else's thought that I embraced as truth?
That's good.
You know?
That's so
Yeah.
good. That's so good. I love that. I love that. So we are wrapping up. I'm going to a award show. Okay, that's why I'm dressed up.
I
I'm
was
going to an
gonna
award
say you
show.
fly. I
Yeah,
love it. You look good. Yes, ma'am. I love the pink and green too. I mean, shout out.
thank you. I'm a Delta, but we can wear pink and green too.
Hey, yes, you can.
All right. So I want to. Is there anything that you want to say to anyone before we end?
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, there
I
there there
know.
is
I
so much,
know.
right?
I know. Yeah.
There's so much.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk to my women, right?
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to tell my women. I do want to plug an event that's coming up. We're going to be talking
Yeah.
about the essentials that are needed specifically for women in this day and time that we are living in right now.
Hmm.
And when I talk about the essentials, I'm talking mind, body, spirit,
Yeah.
right? So we're going to be talking about like, and this is scientific, like this is backed by research, and it's specifically for Black women,
Hmm.
but all are
Hmm.
welcome. This particular event is happening on May 14th. Um, Sleep is so underrated.
Hmm.
Supplementation is so underrated,
Yeah.
right? And and alignment, right? So avoiding or not connecting with our spiritual selves,
Yeah.
not sleeping and not supplementing. Those are the most harmful things
That's
that
good.
are out there. So when we're able to align those, a lot of stuff can happen.
Yeah. So the event that you're inviting us to, it
Yeah.
helps us to kind of connect with sleep and supplementation.
I can't give it all away. I
Okay, okay.
can't.
What's the name of it? What's the name of the event? Because I'll
It
post it into
is
my stories as well.
awesome. It's wellness plus womanhood. What I'm going to tell people, and I
Okay.
will actually, if I type in here, that'll show up. Yes, I don't know. Will it?
Type it after I save it. So type it after it saves so that it can show up because the comments won't show up after I save it.
Okay, perfect. So what I'll do when you save it is I'll drop the link,
Good.
so that everyone can go and grab it. Man, when I tell you, we are always having programs or
Hmm.
events or things, to be able to enlighten and
Hmm.
bring together, right? So we call them gather and grow,
Hmm.
right?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And it's May 14th. I
That
love
one's
it.
May
I may
14th.
actually,
Yeah.
I may make an appearance. I
I
love this.
hope
I love this.
so.
So,
That would be awesome.
but do tell us before we end,
Yeah.
where can we find you? Where can we work with you? What are the other things that you offer? How can you help
Oh,
us?
how can I help you? I love
Yeah.
that. So what I would do is send people to at Coach Cayme, my Instagram page. There's one link that is there in my bio that will connect you to all things Coach Cayme, right? So you'll be able to book a discovery session, and that is no cost. A discovery call, 20 minutes to see like if we are a good match. While I know that I have tools that can be able to help people, that doesn't mean that I'm your person. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so, just to see if we are a good match, you can check out the events that we have coming up. You can look at places that I'm going to be, like all of those good things. And
Awesome.
then my
Awesome.
website, of course, is KameyAndrea.com.
Amy and Andrea.com. Thank you so much for accepting this invitation. I actually look forward to working with you in the future and being at one of these
Yes.
events that you're talking about.
Yes.
And so, for anyone that is trying to level up their life, we invite you. This is your special invitation to make sure that
Thank
you
you.
join Master Coach
I love
Katie
it.
as
Yes.
well. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much. Let's
Thank you,
smile for the
Ty.
camera.
All right.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.